You know the feeling. You're in a normal conversation, everything is fine, and then someone drops a comment designed to get under your skin. When that happens, your biology takes over. Your heart rate spikes, and your immediate instinct is to fire back, to defend your character, and to correct their error. But the moment you raise your voice to argue, you have stepped into a trap. The person provoking you does not care about the facts of the argument. They only care about making you move. Mapping the mechanics of this exchange, a clear loop emerges. A provocation event is launched as bait. Taking that bait generates an emotional reaction. This spike overrides logic, feeding straight into the manipulator's control. By participating, you voluntarily hand over the steering wheel. To break this cycle, you have to execute a move that feels entirely unnatural. You must completely suppress the urge to defend yourself. This brings us to a state known as the Stone King. Imagine a heavy, immovable object, unaffected by the chaotic environment crashing into it. This state is defined by a deep, deliberate slowness. There is no rushing. There is only methodical observation and a heavy, grounded emotional weight. Often, we assume the way to win a verbal conflict is with a lightning-fast, witty comeback. However, firing back instantly signals anxiety. It proves that the other person forced you to operate on their schedule. True social leverage looks very different. It requires taking a direct verbal hit, maintaining eye contact, and absorbing the impact without physically or emotionally flinching. If you are solid stone, petty insults simply crumble against you. The provocateur is throwing rocks at a mountain, revealing their own fragility while your structure remains intact. When you refuse to be moved, the primary weapon of a manipulator, your own emotional reaction, is neutralized. To actually achieve that stillness in real time, you deploy a tactical defense called the observer protocol. The exact second you feel psychological pressure, you hit a hard internal pause. You actively sever the connection to your own emotional state. Let's map your cognitive choices. The top path asks, how does this make me feel? This pulls you into a reactive deficit. To win, take the bottom path. Point your attention outward, asking, why are they saying this? Look for the motive. When you scrutinize their motive, the illusion breaks. A gaslighting attempt or a heavy guilt trip stops looking like a personal attack. It reveals itself as a clumsy, desperate bluff to get you to surrender a piece on the board. You essentially reclassify their words. They are no longer threats, they are just data points. It is harmless external noise that requires zero action on your part. By stepping out of the firing line of your own emotions, you stop being a target. You transform into an untouchable, objective analyst watching someone else play a game. Once you secure this internal detachment, the external results are immediate. You simply look at them and you say nothing. For a manipulator, this is suffocating. They thrive on friction. When they throw a punch and hit empty air, they are starved of the emotional fuel they need to keep the interaction alive. Watch the energy dynamics shift. The target's energy line stays perfectly flat. Without a reaction, the provocateur's energy wildly spikes into the red as they panic. This overcompensation is where they lose. They over-explain, and eventually their hidden insecurities spill into the open. This is silence operating as a weapon. By refusing to speak, you are not retreating. You are taking up space and forcing them to exhaust themselves against a wall. It is the most dominant social action you can take in a conflict. By claiming the silent baseline, you dictate the rules. You decide that the interaction will happen at your pace, and your unmoving presence stops the entire game in its tracks. True social power is not about having the loudest voice or the fastest reflexes. It is about mastering the psychology of stillness, letting the quiet weight of your presence dictate the reality of the room.